Most people wake up exhausted even after 8 full hours in bed, and almost nobody talks about the real reason why. It is not your mattress. It is not your screen time. It is not even your stress levels, though they certainly do not help. The actual culprit is happening inside your body between 2 and 4 in the morning, completely invisible, completely silent, and almost completely ignored by mainstream sleep advice. Your blood glucose is crashing, and when it crashes, your brain interprets it as a survival emergency, floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline, yanks you out of deep sleep, and leaves you lying there at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling with your heart beating just a little too fast. You fall back asleep eventually, but the damage is already done. The deepest, most restorative phase of your sleep cycle has been shattered, and no amount of extra time in bed will recover it. Now, here's the part that most nutrition and sleep experts will not tell you together in the same conversation. The right food combination eaten at the right time before bed can stabilize your glucose through the entire night, protect your deep sleep architecture, and have you waking up feeling like a completely different person. And there is one specific pairing, one that most people would never think to combine, that does this better than anything else. We are going to get there. But first, you need to understand exactly what is happening in your body. Because once you see it, you will never think about your nighttime routine the same way again. Let's start with something most people get completely backwards. You have probably been told at some point that eating before bed is bad for you, that it causes weight gain, disrupts digestion, and spikes your blood sugar. And there is a version of that which is absolutely true. Eating a bowl of sugary cereal or a plate of refined carbohydrates an hour before bed is genuinely terrible for your sleep quality and your metabolic health. But the conclusion that most people draw from that, which is to eat nothing at all after dinner, is often just as harmful in a completely different direction. Because when you go to bed on an empty stomach, or many hours after your last meal, your blood glucose has already begun to drop. And as your body moves through its natural nighttime fast, that drop continues. For most people, the glucose nadir, the lowest point of the night, hits somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning. If your starting point going into sleep was already low, that nadir becomes a crash. And a glucose crash at 3 in the morning is physiologically identical to the stress response your body would generate if you heard a strange noise downstairs. Your adrenal glands fire, cortisol surges, your liver dumps stored glycogen into your bloodstream, and your nervous system activates. You are essentially being chased by a predator in your sleep. Your body does not know the difference. Now consider this. Continuous glucose monitor data from thousands of people has shown something remarkable. The individuals who sleep most deeply, who spend the most time in slow wave and REM sleep, who wake up with the highest cognitive performance the following day, are not the people who ate nothing before bed. They are the people whose glucose line through the night looks like a gentle, shallow slope, rather than a cliff edge followed by a sharp rebound spike. Stable, controlled, gradual, and the question then becomes, how do you engineer that? How do you go to bed with your glucose set at just the right level, declining slowly, never crashing, never spiking, staying in that narrow band that lets your brain do its nightly repair work without interference? That is where the food combination comes in. And I want you to stay with me here because the mechanism matters almost as much as the prescription itself. Your liver is the key player in overnight glucose regulation. While you sleep, your liver is doing something called glycogenolysis, which is just the process of converting stored glycogen back into glucose and releasing it into your bloodstream to keep your brain and nervous system fueled through the night. The liver's ability to do this effectively depends on two things. First, it needs to have adequate glycogen stores going into sleep. If you have been in a significant caloric deficit, or if you did intense exercise late in the day, your glycogen stores may already be depleted, which means the liver has less fuel to release and your overnight glucose regulation suffers. Second, your liver needs a slow, steady supply of substrate to work with, something that provides glucose at a controlled, extended rate rather than all at once. This is where the specific food combination becomes critical. And this is also where almost every piece of popular sleep advice falls completely short. Because most people who do eat before bed either eat something fast digesting and sugary, which causes a spike and then an overcorrection, or they eat something purely protein-based, which does not adequately replenish liver glycogen at all. But there is a third option, a pairing that has been hiding in plain sight for decades, used intuitively by traditional cultures around the world, and now being validated by modern metabolic science. And I am going to give you that combination in just a moment, but I need to lay one more piece of the foundation first because understanding this will change how you think about sleep nutrition permanently. Deep sleep, the slow wave phase, is where your body secretes the majority of its growth hormone for the day. This is when your brain runs its glymphatic cleaning cycle, flushing out the metabolic waste products, including the amyloid plaques associated with cognitive decline that accumulate during waking hours. This is when your muscles repair and your immune system consolidates its defenses. This is the sleep that actually restores you. And slow wave sleep is extraordinarily sensitive to metabolic disruption. A single cortisol spike in the middle of the night can obliterate your slow wave architecture for that entire sleep cycle. You may sleep another 4 or 5 hours after that spike, but you will barely touch the deep phase again, which means that protecting your overnight glucose is not a minor optimization. It is not a biohacker's hobby. It is the single most impactful thing most people could do to radically improve the quality of sleep they are already getting. You do not need to sleep longer, you need to sleep deeper. And a stable glucose curve is your best tool for doing exactly that. Here is where it gets interesting. The specific food combination that accomplishes this most effectively is not what nutrition researchers initially expected. The initial assumption was that a slow digesting carbohydrate alone would be sufficient, something like oats or sweet potato, eaten before bed, providing a gradual glucose release through the night. And while those foods are genuinely beneficial, they still fall short on their own because they do not adequately stimulate the overnight insulin response needed to shuttle glucose into cells at a controlled rate, and they do not provide the amino acid tryptophan in sufficient quantity to support serotonin and melatonin synthesis, which are the neurotransmitters that govern your ability to actually fall into deep sleep in the first place. What the research has progressively pointed toward is a combination of a specific slow-release carbohydrate paired with a specific fat and protein source that together hit every lever simultaneously. The carbohydrate handles the glycogen replenishment and sets the overnight glucose floor. The fat slows gastric emptying, extending the glucose release window across 4 to 6 hours rather than 1 to 2. And the protein provides the tryptophan that your brain needs to synthesize the neurochemicals of deep sleep. Hit all three simultaneously, in the right ratio at the right time, and you have essentially created a 12-hour slow-release glucose and neurotransmitter manufacturing system while you sleep. Now, before I tell you exactly what this combination is, think about what it would mean for your mornings if this worked the way the research suggests. No more lying awake at 3 in the morning with your thoughts racing. No more hitting your alarm and feeling like you have been hit by a bus even after a full night's sleep. No more of that thick, foggy feeling that does not lift until your third cup of coffee. That is the downstream consequence of fragmented, glucose-disrupted sleep. And the people who have addressed this specific mechanism consistently report that it is one of the most noticeable changes they have ever made to their daily energy and cognitive function. Not because they slept more hours, but because those hours became genuinely restorative for the first time. This is the piece of the puzzle that the standard sleep hygiene conversation is missing almost entirely. So here is the combination. Raw honey paired with a small amount of a fat and protein source, specifically something like a tablespoon of almond butter, cashew butter, or a small handful of mixed nuts. That is it. That is the pairing. And I know what you are thinking because almost everyone thinks it initially. Honey before bed, does that not spike blood sugar? And this is where the science is genuinely counterintuitive and worth understanding completely. Raw honey has a unique biochemical profile. It is a roughly 1-to-1 ratio of glucose and fructose. But unlike table sugar or high fructose corn syrup, the fructose in raw honey is metabolized almost exclusively by the liver. It does not enter the bloodstream. It goes directly to replenishing liver glycogen, which is precisely the fuel your liver needs to sustain its overnight glucose release function. The glucose component of the honey provides a mild, controlled blood sugar elevation. But because the quantity is small, usually just 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon, and because it is paired with the fat and protein in the nut butter, gastric emptying is slowed and the glucose curve is extended and dampened. You get a gentle rise followed by a long, slow plateau rather than a spike and crash. And the liver glycogen stores, topped up by the fructose, give your liver everything it needs to manage your glucose through the early morning hours without triggering a cortisol response. The timing matters as well. This combination works best consumed approximately 30 to 60 minutes before sleep. Any earlier, and the glucose elevation from the honey has already peaked and begun declining before you enter your deepest sleep cycles. Any later, and you may feel it sitting in your stomach. The 30 to 60-minute window lands the combination's metabolic effect right at the transition into your first cycle of slow wave sleep, providing fuel precisely when the brain is making its deepest descent. You are essentially giving your nervous system the resources it needs just as it begins its most intensive repair work of the night. And here's the final piece of the puzzle, the one that ties everything together. This combination also works synergistically with your melatonin system in a way that most people do not appreciate. The small amount of tryptophan from the nut butter, combined with the insulin-mediated transport enhancement from the honey's glucose, actually increases the ratio of tryptophan crossing the blood-brain barrier relative to competing amino acids. More tryptophan in the brain means more serotonin production in the evening, which your pineal gland converts to melatonin during darkness. You are not just stabilizing your glucose, or you are actively supporting the neurochemical cascade that governs sleep depth and continuity. The two mechanisms reinforce each other beautifully. Stable glucose prevents cortisol disruption from below. Enhanced melatonin production deepens the sleep architecture from above. And the result is the kind of sleep that leaves you waking up before your alarm, clear-headed with genuine energy, rather than that blunted, dragged back from unconsciousness feeling that so many people have normalized as just how mornings feel. 1 teaspoon of raw honey, a tablespoon of almond or cashew butter, 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Try it for 7 consecutive nights and pay attention to whether you are waking between 2 and 4, whether your dreams become more vivid, which is a sign of deeper REM, and whether that first hour of your morning feels different. The compound effect of 7 consecutive nights of genuinely deep, uninterrupted sleep is unlike almost anything else you can do for your health, your cognition, your mood, and your metabolic function. Your body has been waiting for this kind of consistent restoration, and the barrier between where you are now and that version of your mornings is, in many cases, one very small, very specific snack. If this gave you something genuinely useful tonight, hit subscribe, because the next video in this series goes even deeper into the neurochemistry of sleep. And trust me, what we cover next will completely reframe how you think about the first 30 minutes after you wake up.